Let's move on, though, into the final segment where we are looking at number 1 through number 10. We'll do it the same way, though. We'll start with number 10 in our fantasy football quarterback rankings. The Carolina Panther quarterback, Scootin' Newton. I call him Scam. It should be Cam. I guess you can say Scam Newton, but Cam Newton.
I think we're past that.
Cam Scootin' Newton is what I meant to say. Then number 9, Saints quarterback, Drew Brees. That was also, I got to mention, that was a tiebreaker where the way we broke it is we messaged patron Christian on Twitter, told him I was going to give him a shout out. So go ahead and follow Christian on Twitter. I think it's like one-on-one and then whatever his last name is, or Sordia or whatever it is. Go under my followers at Ricky Widmer and find Christian. It says Christian.
There's a lot of work that you got to put into.
No, I
put him in the description.
I'll put him in the description, but I also quoted a recent tweet from him. It's Christian on my Twitter. Me and him always go back and forth. He helped us break the tie. He said Drew Brees over Cam Newton, so that's why he's at 9, Newton's at 10. Then we got Matt Stafford at number 8, the Detroit Lions quarterback. Charger quarterback at 7, Phillip Rivers. Then Kirk Cousins, the Viking quarterback, new Viking quarterback at number 6. Tom Brady at number 5. This is one that's going to irk some people, mainly Sean Anderson, but we'll hopefully get into it in this segment.
Out there who are pissed
then
right
at
now.
number 4, he was injured most of last year, Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson. Then at number 3, Super Bowl winning quarterback Carson Wentz.
Not according to my Twitter followers. My Twitter followers have voted and said no.
I'm just saying that because of the tweet that you put up earlier this week. Then at number 2, Russell Wilson, and at number 1, Aaron Rodgers. And where I want to start with this is basically what I had asked you before, because you had Aaron Rodgers number 1, Russell Wilson number 2. I had Russell Wilson number 1, Aaron Rodgers number 2. What went into your decision making to put A-Rod 1, Russell Wilson 2?
Well, 1, he's Aaron Rodgers. 2,
he's broken my heart too many times, Ricky.
Right? Well, I mean, here's the thing. You brought it up, and I'm going to throw it right in your face immediately.
Okay.
That Russell Wilson last year, he led everybody in points.
Yeah.
He was ahead of Aaron Rodgers. But
Aaron Rodgers did miss about 8 games.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a big deal. And when he did come back, it didn't matter, and then they benched him again, and therefore they had to cut him, and soon he will be joining your favorite team. Anyways, Aaron, that's a big thing for me. I mean, he's got some new weapons on the offensive side of the ball, and it doesn't matter because Aaron Rodgers, he's a guy who makes people better.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is this, and this is an underrated part, is the fact that all of a sudden the Aaron Rodgers, although that's what I should call them, the Green Bay Packers went and they did a nice thing for them, not for the rest of the NFC North. They drafted not 1, but 2 starting caliber NFL ready corners for this defense.
And then they got Equanimeous St. Brown later on in the draft for the wide receivers.
Way later in the
guy I
draft.
wanted the Bears to get will now be playing against the Bears.
Right.
A tall, fast wide receiver. That's exactly what A-Rod needs.
I sit there and I look at it and I'm like, well, you just gave, through the draft, Aaron Rodgers more time with the ball in his hand.
Because you're going to shut down offenses, hopefully.
Exactly, and you're going to get more interceptions now. You are going to make this happen. Aaron Rodgers is going to have the ball more. Sure, he lost Jordy Nelson, and that is kind of a big deal, but Jordy Nelson was hurt.
To me, you added Equanimeous St. Brown, who's probably going to be the latest steal, out of the day 3, the biggest day 3 steal of this draft.
It's totally possible.
Even look at it this way, and I'll look at it this way for the Packers, is a guy like Geronimo Allison. The only reason I call him Gmo is because he played for the Illinois Fighting Illini, and that's what we called him when he was with Illinois. This was a guy that got undrafted free agent, I believe, went to the Indianapolis Colts. Didn't pan out with the Colts. I believe got cut by him. Gets picked up by the Packers. Is he number 1? No, but he's a reliable weapon, a big target for Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to say, basically kind of saved his career, saved the kid's career, because now he's actually contributing on a team.
So I'm a Chicago Bears fan, that needs to be said. But I am scared of Aaron Rodgers this year, because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be very angry this year for a few things. 1, he was hurt. 2, everybody's talking a lot about this Kirk Cousins, guys, and I really bet that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be happy about
fully guaranteed, baby.
Yeah, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is happy about that. And a lot of people that got paid more than him. And his deal is not done yet. So I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be mad. I think he's going to play hard. I think he's going to beat down any defense that comes his way because he's Aaron Rodgers. That's why I got to put him above Russell Wilson. Yes, there's a bet. They've improved the offensive line for Russell Wilson. He is the mobile quarterback. He's going to have rushing touchdowns, although Aaron Rodgers will also get rushing yards, will also get rushing touchdowns. But for me, it's just a simple thing of Aaron Rodgers can do more, and the Seattle Seahawks defense is declining. Even though this team on the Seahawks, they're not happy with the way the season ended last year, so they will play harder.
You do know his first 2 games of the year, too, right?
Who's Russell's or Aaron Rodgers?
Rodgers.
No, I don't care about the Packers that
his
much.
First game, Sunday night, at home against the Bears. Game 2.
Well, I mean, they're going to get shut out then, so there's that.
It's a noon game, noon for us here in the Midwest, at home against the Vikings. So he's got Bears-Vikings to start the year at home.
Mad.
At home.
He's really going to be mad.
It could be. Or he could get injured by Anthony Barr again.
No. Roquan Smith. Let's give credit to Roquan.
Yeah, Roquan's going to injure him week 1.
Is it going to be week 1, first play? He's going to put him down, much like
Anthony Barr did.
Or the other thing I was going to say is Wooten to Brett Favre.
Yes. Just looked down at him.
And
like Urlacher just looking down at him.
Roquan Smith's going to say, "You're welcome," to Chicago Bears fans out there. No, I think that Aaron Rodgers, I'm terrified of him this year.
Here's why I put Russell, and this goes into a greater discussion for the top 10, because I valued guys like Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. Like some people, I had him at 3. Some people might not have him that high.
Yeah, I had him at 5.
I had him at number 3. Guys like Carson Wentz. Guys like why I had Cam Newton over a Drew Brees. The debate you and I had, and Christian had to break it. So the thing that I look at is, yes, Russell Wilson led the league in fantasy points last year. Yes, Aaron Rodgers missed a big gap of games and missed 2 at the end because the Packers were like, screw it, we're not in playoff contention. We're going to sit him. But the thing that I wonder is guys like Russell Wilson, guys like Deshaun Watson, guys like Cam Newton, and you can even throw Carson Wentz into this discussion. Are they more valuable, more so to me, Wilson and Watson, because they can not only do it with their arm, they can do it with their leg, and in most fantasy leagues, a rushing touchdown is worth 6, to where a passing touchdown is only worth 4, because I look at Russell Wilson last year, yeah, he had 34 touchdowns through the air, but he had 3 touchdowns on the ground. You might say, well, Ricky, he had 34 through the air. The bigger example of this is Cam Newton. Had about, 12 less touchdowns through the air, had about 5 more interceptions, which is more negative points, but he had about almost 200 more rushing yards and 3 more touchdowns on the ground.
A guy like Cam Newton has more points.
Yeah. So to me, it's almost like, and this is the reason why I put the injury also played into it too a little bit, because he was injured last year with Aaron Rodgers, but do you go with more of a mobile quarterback because of that stipulation?
It has
that you
potential,
get more points?
But it comes to risk tolerance as well. Those guys are more likely to get injured. Quarterbacks are much more likely to get injured when they scramble than when they don't.
Look at Carson Wentz. He was scrambling into the end zone when that helmet, I think it was a helmet that hit his knee.
Yeah, and I think they were saying, I don't remember, they were saying something about when they thought it happened with the injury. They thought it happened potentially more before the hit actually happened.
But while he was playing with it.
Yeah. But anyways, but for what it really comes down to in my eyes when it comes to these mobile quarterbacks, I'm scared of mobile quarterbacks in general. I don't trust them to stay healthy. I mean, we're going to talk about a guy pretty soon in Deshaun Watson who did not do that last year. He did not stay healthy. But anyways, it just comes down to total points. I just think that doesn't matter that he's not going to be getting rushing touchdowns as much or rushing yards as much. I just think Aaron Rodgers is going to score more points.
Well, and that could and the big thing for Aaron Rodgers that plays into your situation is, hey, he was injured for 7 games. We don't know what's going to happen. A guy that, and the reason why I had him at 3 was Deshaun Watson, because he's kind of in the same boat as Aaron Rodgers. And why you're high on Aaron Rodgers is the same reason I'm high on Deshaun Watson, because yes, we've got film on him this year, and he might not become like a gangbuster, but like there was a stretch from the New England game, week 3, until he got injured against Seattle week 8, to where, and this is average between all the leagues, but he's got 20 against New England, then 33 against Tennessee, 35 against KC. That was the 5-touchdown game that he had. Then 23 against Cleveland, and then 32 against Seattle before he got injured. That was the one where he had 3 interceptions, but he also threw for 4 touchdowns and probably had some runs in there too.
There's going to be people out there who, and this is not necessarily the topic of conversation because we're talking specifically fantasy football, but there are going to be people out there who are going to throw into question of, well, he beat the Browns, the Titans, and the Bengals. He lost to the Jaguars, the Patriots, the Chiefs, and the Seahawks. There's going to be people out there who are going to say, yes, but look at that. But we're not talking about the Texans as a team. We're not talking about whether they're going to win games or lose games, how good of a team they are. We're specifically talking about Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
When Deshaun Watson's out there, I mean, in these, 7 games, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Not amazing. Sure, you could use less interceptions, but 19 and 8 in 7 games, I am more than thrilled about that. He's getting 4 and 5 and 3 touchdowns in almost every game with a couple of, actually 3 exceptions, but he was coming out hot and getting hotter as it kept going. He's getting yards. He's got a great defense out there that's going to give him the ball back. Deshaun Watson, there's a lot to be excited about. And this is why I said to people, if you listen to the rest of the podcast, you know, I said, call me out on my hypocrisy because I said Jared Goff, I don't trust the sample size. I shouldn't trust Deshaun Watson's sample size.
But you do.
It's not that I do. I'm really just buying into the hype, I think is part of it. And I'm concerned about that. And I'm willing to admit that Deshaun Watson could have a huge sophomore year slump. He could easily do that. It's totally possible. He could just get hurt again. That's also possible. But there's so much potential because this team is so good. And he was so hot for a while that I'm willing to buy in right now.
No, and that's something to where and what I was trying to do on my phone was pull up our league last year because I was going to see our league champion who he had as his quarterback. Because I don't think he had Aaron Rodgers. He obviously didn't later on. And I'm logged in on our computer to the Onside Kick account. So that's why I was trying to do that. But like for me, it comes down to where are you going to value these guys that have that mobile aspect? Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, Cam Newton, because I think that that's why I was a little bit higher on them because they're going to have that benefit that the other just true passers aren't. And that's why Tom Brady got knocked because Deshaun Watson at 3 for me, Carson Wentz at 4 for me. And it's like Tom Brady also loses Brandon Cook this year. Loses Danny Amendola this year. Yeah, he gets Julian Edelman back. Didn't have Edelman last year. Gronk is a question, but right now Gronk is still on the team. So, I mean, Tom Brady, it's like, go get Tom Brady if he's available and you want him. But that's why I had him at 5 because of the dual threats that are above him. But one guy I want to ask you about is Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
He's a guy, you had him at 7, I had him at 6. We virtually almost have him in the same spot. Are people going to overhype Kirk Cousins this year?
Potentially, yeah, I think they could. But at the same time, there's also a lot of doubters on Kirk Cousins. So he's one of those ones where it really is just going to depend on the people in your league. If you have enough of those people who are sitting there saying, I mean, I don't think he deserves a fully guaranteed contract. Or a lot of people who say fully guaranteed contract. I'm all in. Yeah. He's number 1. And I do think that contract is a thing that's going to hang on to him. But I look at what a guy like Case Keenum, a guy like Sam Bradford was able to do with the Minnesota Vikings, and I say, well, I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than that. I see no reason why he's not top 10 then. You know, he should be because he's got a lot of skills. Well, now he's going to be able to make this work.
And I don't know if you just mentioned this here, maybe I'm reiterating. He actually has weapons now in Minnesota.
Yeah.
He's got Stephon Diggs. He's got
a much better defense.
Thielen, a much better defense. He's got Kyle. Like, to me, the tight end is the only thing he has consistent.
Yeah.
Like Jordan Reed to Kyle Rudolph, all right. But like wide receivers, he's got better wide receivers. Dalvin Cook coming back with Latavius Murray. We've got better running backs than they have in Washington.
And I really, you might have noticed with the quarterbacks, I'm stressing the defense a lot. It's an underrated thing. Look at the defense of the team you're on. If you're on if you're drafting a quarterback who's got a bad defense, that just means that quarterback's on the field less often. You know, you want to have a guy who's got a good defense because they're going to give the ball back to your quarterback. He's going to have more opportunities. And that's all it is. It's just opportunity for these quarterbacks. You know, you want them to have as many passes as potential. You know, you want them to be able to run the ball if you're into that kind of thing. And Kirk Cousins is going to have the opportunity to do that. Not to mention the fact that, once again, like I mentioned with the NFC West, the NFC North is also a division that is primed for some shootouts. Now, there are better defenses in there that can make some low-scoring games, Minnesota and Chicago specifically.
You know what I just noticed?
There'll be some shootouts.
Somebody who looks at my personal rankings is going to think that I'm a NFC North biased guy.
That's all you got. I'm right there with you.
Out of my top 10, I've got all 4 of them in my top 10. 40% of my top 10 is one division.
Yeah.
And I would say, okay.
I only have 3 of the 4 in
Kirk
there.
Cousins, well, I had Mitch in the top 10. That's why. But you had Mitch at what? Oh, okay. You
12.
had him a little low. I thought you had
13.
him at 11. That's where he ended up being total. But I mean, that's just it. You even look at it like that's a division where Mitch might be the lowest one, but like Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins, and Aaron Rodgers, it's a loaded quarterback division.
Yeah.
It's a loaded quarterback division. And that's why, like, with Matt Stafford, like, I didn't really know where to put him because overall as a quarterback, he's a really good quarterback. But really, nothing changed much on that offense, receiver-wise, weapon-wise, to where, like, I put him at 7, but I was like, should I put Phillip Rivers and Cam Newton ahead of you and have you at 9?
Yeah. And, and Matthew Stafford is a little bit of a difficult one for me. He's a great...
You had him at 9.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great quarterback. He is a guy you want on your team. You know, they just said it with, Dan Orlovsky, weird name.
Orlovsky.
I don't care. You know, this is the big thing that it was on Twitter, it was on NFL Network, where they were talking about, you know, I might get the numbers wrong, but it was like he had 20 fourth quarter drives, like end of the game drives, to win. He won 20 out of 24 times or something like that.
Talking about Matt Stafford did that, or Orlovsky did that?
No, Matt Stafford.
Okay.
Orlovsky didn't do shit.
I was like, why are we bringing up Dan Orlovsky?
No, because he's the one who said it.
Oh, okay.
He's the one who said it. And he said, it was his stat.
I think
leads...
Orlovsky's the guy that ran out of the back of the end zone for the Lions.
Could have been. He was backing up Matt Stafford for a while. But, you know, he said he leads the NFL in that. You know, he only had 4 times where he didn't win that. One of them was a fumble. The other one was an issue. You know, all that type of stuff.
Just means his defense isn't good.
Well, yeah, pretty much. But that's actually, in this type of case, it works well in that favor because Matthew Stafford's constantly just throwing it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's
the
okay.
run game ain't good in Detroit.
Yeah, he has to. He's the only option. But that's the thing with Matthew Stafford, I should say. You know, he is one of those guys where he's a little boom or bust. And I am favoring on the boom side of it, but he is. You know, I've had him in fantasy football leagues where he's disappointed me. You know, and part of that is that the Detroit defense isn't that great. That the run game has been fairly non-existent over the years. You know, that without Calvin Johnson, it's not the same game of just throw it up there and he'll bring it down for you. You know, there is some risk to that, but I do think that he is a guy you do want to shoot for. He's a guy you want to reach and go grab. Not reach, I shouldn't say that. He is a guy you want to do that because this whole NFC North, like you said, I mean, there's going to be a lot of quarterback battles for sure.
Any guy in this top 10 that we haven't hit that you think we should? There's not many. I mean, we didn't go into depth about Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Drew
I think
Brees.
I think there's guys we need to talk about. I'll mention Phillip Rivers briefly, and then I'll go into a guy who I think we need to. I mean, everybody if you're a Chargers fan, you know I love the Chargers. You know that happens.
You like to bolt up.
I do bolt up. I think that I always think they should be a good team, but they've got pretty much everything in place that they need to
well,
be.
And then they don't.
And when I keep stressing this defense point, you know, Derwin James is there now. You know, there's a ball hawk out there.
Yep.
So you have some good opportunities, and it's also a year where they might be primed to take over this division this year in the AFC West.
Depending on how Mahomes fits in.
Exactly. So there's a little bit of that. You know, I do want to point out Carson Wentz.
Okay.
Because people might sit there and say, well, you guys were nervous about Andrew Luck starting. I do believe Carson Wentz starts
has
week
come
1.
out and said, though, he believes he'll be starting week 1.
Yeah.
Like Andrew Luck, we haven't gotten that definitive of an
And there's
answer.
no quarterback controversy. As much as everybody's trying to talk about it, and they blatantly asking him to his face, well, how do you think Nick Foles feels? Who cares about how Nick Foles feels? He got a Super Bowl MVP. He's set for life. He's good. He's going to get paid someday.
It's
He's
like
fine.
I said to you, and you agreed with me on Twitter. Nick Foles was the Trent Dilfer syndrome of didn't turn over the ball, really, except for the Super Bowl. The defense is more
he
of
went
the
out in the Super Bowl.
The defense is more of the reason, though, that they got to the Super Bowl. Only giving up 10 points to a Matt Ryan team that had Taylor Gabriel, who had those weapons. Only giving up 7 points to a Vikings team that I don't even remember. I'll even look it up. I don't even know how many times they scored that few points all year.
I don't know
if any. You know what? I'll look it up, but I don't. I'll put my money that I'll Sean Anderson in. I'll put my card that they had at least 8 or more points every single game last year. That they never scored that low points all year.
And I think that
Please be right.
for Nick Foles, I mean, he did everything he needed. I mean, he went and he balled out at the Super Bowl. There's no doubt about that.
Damn it.
He's a backup quarterback.
Damn it.
You lost it.
It was even.
Give me the keys. They're mine now.
Damn it.
You're walking
It was
home.
the Detroit October 1st game, 14-7.
There you
But
go.
like other than that, the lowest they ever scored was when they lost 26-9 to the Steelers. My point is, they only did it once. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a thing that
It's a
like,
big
oh,
deal.
that's
Yeah.
what the Vikings are doing.
And for those of you on YouTube, go ahead and put your comments down below if you want to be entered into the raffle for Ricky's car. We're gonna raffle it out.
Never shook on it.
Yeah, right. You know, and Tom Brady needs to get mentioned as well. Because we're a little low and people are going to yell at us for it.
I mean, he's the greatest quarterback of all time, greatest quarterback in the game today. However, that doesn't mean you're the best fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think that Sonny Michel's going to be a big deal
Even
in
though
New
Sean
England.
was upset about the picks, they didn't take Lamar Jackson.
I mean, sure, because he loves Lamar Jackson. But, you know, this will take away a little bit. I mean, this is and I'm not saying that they never have good running backs. They get serviceable running backs and good running backs. But this is a guy who can be really good. And this is a guy who can give them something new, something different, to where I think they could. And we talk about risk a lot today. You are drafting a quarterback who's kind of up there in age. And I know it's Tom Brady. We're not allowed to say that because people yell at us.
You're doing the Max Kellerman, when's the cliff mark?
I mean, I'm just saying that
Max Kellerman,
you
the
have
cliff
to-
is supposed to be this offseason?
I mean, you should, but you have to be able to say to yourself, gut feeling, yeah, I think he's got one more year.
Let me put it this way. Last year in our draft, I traded picks to Sean because he really wanted Tom Brady, and I was okay not drafting Tom Brady.
And Tom Brady did pretty well for Sean.
Did Sean win our league?
Nope.
No. So, I mean, just because you have Tom Brady doesn't mean you're going to win the league.
Nope.
Like, and that to me is, I am okay with not having Tom Brady on my team if it means drafting another position.
Yeah. So I think Tom Brady is great, but Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson has better potential, I think. The only other things is, with Cam Newton, I do think CJ Anderson puts a little bit of a down note
On Cam?
Because you just got a 1,000-yard running back.
But how are the carries going to be split up
But
between
here's
him
the
and
thing.
McCaffrey? Because
You talk
McCaffrey
about-
can be used as a passing option.
And that's great. But you talk about how much you love these running quarterbacks because they're going to get you touchdowns. Cam doesn't need to do that now. And Cam's up there.
Doesn't
he's
need
getting up
to,
there.
but Cam still will.
He's getting up there in age. We constantly talk about how he needs to change his playing style. And, not we, but the NFL media in general.
They also drafted DJ Moore, who could be a nice weapon for them.
Exactly. So is he going to stop doing that a little bit and just become a little bit more pocket
And if you
passer?
notice, Cam Newton to me is the lowest out of them. To me, I think it's really going to pay dividends for Wentz, Watson, and Wilson. But I still
With
had
the
to,
exception, of course, of Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota.
yeah, well, because there was no way they were going to be top 10. But I mean, with Newton, it was one of those where it's like, you know what? Because of that, I'm going to put you at 8. but I could have easily put him at like 11 behind Rivers, Trubisky, and Breeze.
Here's an important question, because it came out today or yesterday that Kurt Warner almost made his NFL comeback last year.
Really?
He talked to a particular coach in the NFL that will apparently remain unnamed about coming back because they kind of needed a quarterback.
The Jets?
I don't know. It didn't say.
Who do you think it was, though?
Who do I think it was?
Yeah.
I could see it being the Jets.
Like,
I could also have
seen
seen it being the San Francisco 49ers before they traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. Before they're desperate. Kurt Warner
it was
comes
the
back.
Packers after Aaron Rodgers went down?
Could be. Kurt Warner comes back. Where does he fit into this? You don't need to give me an exact pick. What area?
Like what team?
No, just what area? Kirk Cousins is, or not Kirk Cousins. Kurt Warner is here.
I don't know. He's like a top
Where you put
15er.
All right.
He's like a top 15. He's probably in the second segment we talked about, though.
I'll go ahead and say
10
the
to
very
15.
bottom because he's Kurt Warner and he's old as hell.
I mean, Kurt Warner can still sling it.
I'm sure he can, but his body is gonna break.
One hit and he's Brett Favre.
Yeah, it's gonna break. It's just fun to talk about Kurt Warner coming back.
I'm going to ask you this. Flip side to what we've done before. Sure. Which one of these quarterbacks that's in our top 10 now falls out next year?
Falls out?
Falls out. Because they can't go up. They can only go down.
Well, Tom Brady retires. Let's put that out there. Deshaun Watson, I think.
Okay.
If Deshaun Watson gets hurt again,
a guy who's
he's
going
to tumble.
A guy who's number 4 in our
But
ranking.
he is number 4 purely on promise. Because he looked really good and got hurt. You know, we don't know what the rest of that season would have been. He could have started throwing 3 interceptions a game. We have no idea. If he gets hurt again, or if he comes out and has a sophomore year slump, he is going to tumble at least 10 spots.
I'll give you 2. Either Cam Newton or Matthew Stafford. And the only reason will be that a guy like Mitch Trubisky or a guy like Jared Goff
bumps him,
makes that jump and bumps him out.
Quick question, and that's not completely related. We don't need to have the conversation right now.
Yeah.
Are we getting close to a make or break time for Cam Newton? And I know Cam Newton is an MVP. He is a great quarterback. He is a fantastic quarterback.
As long as Ron Rivera's there, no.
Okay. I only thought about this only because I know some people were fairly recently, I saw on social media that people were kind of talking about Cam Newton and the lows of Cam Newton. He's a high and low type of quarterback.
I will put it this way, and it is very simple. Take a look at the New York Jets.
You don't want to be that.
Just take a look at them. Take a look at the Cleveland Browns for many years.
Yeah.
You have a quality starter in the NFL. Keep it.
Sure. But
the most important position is quarterback, and you have a quality starter. But a top 10 starter in our rankings.
People have said the same thing about, you know, we're in Chicago. People said the same thing about Jay Cutler. Of get rid of him. But you got a guy. Do you want to be the Cleveland Browns?
I think the Cam Newton to Jay Cutler is apples to oranges. It's not apples to apples. You're not comparing.
It's a quality quarterback.
You're not, but to me, they're two different types of quarterback. They do two different things, and I don't think Cam Newton is the problem in Carolina. I think they just don't have the weapons around him.
I don't think he's the problem at all. I'm a big Cam Newton fan.
That will be a discussion for another day when we do our preview of the Panthers.
My thing, I just want you down below in the comment section just to think about it. Is, and it's not part of this. We'll have the conversation someday. But Cam Newton, is he close to a make or break?
Yeah. Like how we had the make or break for Blake Bortles and stuff.
Ryan Tannehill is most likely in his make or break season.
Someone commented on that. We did that 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Someone recently commented on that and said we were stupid. But this is where I'm going to turn on to you guys. Let Mark know the question that he asked. Let us know what you think of our top 10 fantasy quarterbacks. And also, housekeeping here at the end. You want to help support us? You like what we're doing? Check out patreon.com/MostValuable Podcast. Want to be like Christian and come onto a podcast? Check out patreon.com, that link down below. Also, get the MVP t-shirt that Mark is wearing. You can get that at the store link down below in the description. MostValuablePodcast.com. That's where you catch MVP each and every day. And last but not least, go on Apple Podcasts and iTunes. Is right now on YouTube. You're listening to us like you're on iTunes because the camera has gone and we've gone over our 30-minute requirement. Last thing, though, is to thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Thank you guys for listening on podcast services around the world. Next week, Mark and I will be back with our fantasy ranking running backs. That one might be top 30, might not be top 32. We will let you know next week. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. And as always, have a good day, everybody.